a little bit out of my wheelhouse, when it comes to the sprinkler side. I know just enough to be dangerous, but, I just try to tell it best I can.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? Jerry Work here with Profit Dig, here with my partner Jeff Spencer.
What about guys and gals?
Jeff, I was reading something interesting, and we were talking about it earlier. I thought this might be an interesting topic for a conversation here about an EV battery plant being built in Byhalia, Mississippi. And I know people who live there is what caught my interest in it.
Right.
Big plant. And I started thinking, man, you hear about these EV cars when they catch on fire, like you can't hardly put them things out. You think about a whole factory making those things. That's a for real fire hazard. And I know your company, one division of it does sprinkler and,
yes.
and fire systems. So how would you approach something like that? A building that makes something that hazardous, that dangerous?
Well, it all depends on the products you're going to be using, of course, and what hazard rating it may have, as far as what a fire suppression system is classified under. And that debates on, your spacing on your heads, whether it be a water system or foam system, really, depends on that. But I mean, it's something like that could get out of control, pretty easy. So, I mean, it's going to take, quite a bit of prep, to be ready for, as far as make sure you have enough water.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make sure the city has enough water, to supply the demands for that particular building or that structure. And if they don't, what provisions have you got to have, to be ready for a fire. So it may require, say they have the volume of water, but they don't have the pressure. So, now you got to have a fire pump. Well, so say they have the pressure, but not the volume. So now you got to have a tank and a fire pump. Mm-hmm. So somewhere on site, you're going to have, depending on what the demand is, it may be a 100,000 gallon tank, it may be a 500,000 gallon tank. Just depending on what size that building is and what the demand is. So you got to have a line that goes to that tank, fills it up, and it's going to be, roughly, rated for like an hour-long fire. So the size of that tank and the size of that pump is going to determine, and available water is going to determine what size tank you need. I said it wrong, but the size, the demand of the pump and what water is available is going to determine what size tank you need.
So I guess the city then has information you need as far as how much water they can deliver.
You got to get their flow data, and like our company, we go out and do flow tests, on a regular basis. So I mean, you can go out and do like a 2 hydrant flow. You want to get 2 hydrants that's on the same line underground, mm-hmm. and you want to flow them at the same time. Get your static residual and your gallons per minute to figure out, what water is available. Okay. And most of the time, you want to do it in peak demand, because if you have a fire in peak demand, you want to know what that water availability is. Mm-hmm. And when I say peak demand, that's whenever the city or the municipality is pushing out the most water at one time. Right. That may be 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning when everybody's getting ready for work. It may be right at lunchtime. Just different cities, in different areas vary, what their peak demand is on their water. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of liability that falls on the sprinkler company and the designer. Uh-huh. Because, if there's every issue and the fire gets out of control before the fire department can get there, then, they may want to look at it. It comes back to like, the companies that owns a building, insurance company. Mm-hmm. They're going to investigate. And, they're going to start pointing fingers, they're going to try to find every reason to not pay that money, before they pay it. So, a lot of lives are lost. I mean, they're going to look at that, and that goes back to the sprinkler, designer, was his system adequate? And if it was, then, it's, everything's good. But, it's like, my boss said, that the sprinklers aren't there to put out a fire. They're there to contain a fire till the fire department has time to respond, get on site, and take care of it.
Is the sprinklers, can the sprinkler installer be held to any kind of like?
Yes, and at times, yes, it can, especially like in loss of life, if there was faulty workmanship, or if that company was the one that designed the sprinkler system and it was not designed adequate for that facility. So, yes, they could come back and hold that sprinkler contractor liable.
Okay. So what about, I think you mentioned before in our conversation, sometimes a foam is used.
Yeah, a lot of airports, like airport hangars and stuff. And I think, I may be wrong about this, but I think our company is like maybe the only one in Middle Tennessee that has or does foam systems.
Okay.
But yes, it depends on what, like for fuel, for airplane fuel, that's the reason, for the foam, because it's so explosive.
But they're using water systems for these EV plants.
It's a mixing chamber. It's like you have water, and it's kind of like, I think it's like Dawn dishwashing soap. It all like comes together and mixes. Some kind of like detergent that mixes with the water, and then it just fills the room with foam. And then once it's contained, it pretty much smothers out the oxygen. I think is what it does. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's what it does. And then as it's contained, the foam will start to dissipate, and go back down.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about how, at least here in Tennessee, it seems like they're building one of these EV battery plants about every 2 hours down the interstate.
Yeah.
Yet I read that EVs are really not selling. The manufacturers are cutting way back on these things.
Yeah, they are. And we've done some stuff, on a couple of these plants.
Luke Fielder coming on in here?
Yo, Luke, how you doing, buddy?
All right, that's
No problem.
That's all right.
We make a little video right now. But yeah, we've done a few of those and looked at a few of them, and I know there's been one or two that may not be using all of their facility because there seems to be a reduction in some of the demand for the batteries right now.
Well, I guess if you're on the building side of these things, you don't care if they want y'all to keep building.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we keep on rocking and rolling.
Well, our buddy Luke just walked in, so I guess we'll wrap this up so we can talk to him for a minute. Jeff, that's some
Appreciate it, Jerry.
interesting knowledge there. Appreciate you sharing with us.
That's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, when it comes to the sprinkler side. I know just enough to be dangerous, but I just try to tell it the best I can.
Yeah. Well, appreciate y'all watching in, and we invite you to like this video, follow the channel. We talk about this stuff all the time. Check us out at profitdig.com. We're also on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. Y'all, we're everywhere. Look for us. Our podcast is on every major podcasting platform. So look for us, Profit Dig, and you will find us. Appreciate y'all.
Thank y'all.
See you.